So the message I'm going to give today could have been titled One Power. It could have been titled Wholeness Inside Each One of Us. It could have been titled My Life Was Saved by Bridgerton Memes and Chicken Soup. And all of those would be appropriate titles. But instead, what I went with is Science, Psychology, and Spirituality. Oh my! Because it's all been up lately. So for anybody who isn't in on the joke, this is my first Sunday back on the platform after, I think, 3 weeks, down bad with a fantastic combination of, are you ready? COVID and influenza A at the same time. And Bobby got it too. So we were, I think it's fair to say, a mess for a little while there. There was just mucus and bad. I don't recommend it. If you're wondering if that's a great way to spend 3 weeks, no, don't do that. But, you notice stuff. You notice stuff. When your normal comforts are stripped away, you see a little bit more who you are, what you value, and what is important. And one of the things that I have not historically been brilliant at is accepting and receiving support, because I can do it my own self. I'm very tough. As Taylor Swift said, I'm a real tough kid. I can handle my stuff, and the clean version. But sometimes you're sick enough or hurt enough or upset enough or whatever enough that you don't have a choice. You have to accept support. And this time I really leaned into that, and I learned some stuff. And you guys are going to get to hear some stuff I learned. How's that sound? Okay, so while I was out, and this is not an exhaustive list, I was prayed for, checked up on, loved up. My puppy was snuggled by a drive-by dog sitter friend who we really needed him to be worn out a bit because he's a 10-week-old puppy that did not understand why mom and dad were not playing. I received chicken soup and hot chai, which is one of my favorites, and chocolate-covered strawberries, among other yummies. A friend picked up my prescriptions for me and brought them to our house. Another brought sliced fresh fruit. I got Reiki, distance healing, and tons of good juju from everybody I knew, from every faith tradition you can think of. Beloveds from many parts of my life sent me all kinds of different healing modalities. My doctors gave me oxygen. Oh, yay. And my funniest friends sent me great Taylor Swift memes and cat videos. I got cards, flowers, phone calls, emails, IV fluids on my couch from the visiting home nurses, reminders about somatic meditation techniques that I knew, but man, you don't remember to do it when you're that sick. I got reminders that the new season of Bridgerton was coming, and so I had to live to see it. Pauline is very important. I needed to know what happened when Penn and Colin finally got together. I received healing love in every single form you can possibly think of and beyond. It was a new thought smorgasbord of miracle. And as you can see, we are both upright-ish and have mostly our voices back, so it must have worked. And something that wandered through my mind as all of this was happening is how many times I've either said or heard somebody say, but that's not science of mind. You know? Science of mind is it's a concrete philosophy, and certain things are in it and certain things are not. And so sometimes I can, and perhaps you can too, get in a little tricky headspace where I think, well, that's not science of mind, and anything science of mind is better. But is it? But is it? Because that darn Ernest Holmes, the founder of this teaching, well, he said this. I believe that when science, philosophy, religion, medicine, psychology, the knowledge of the mind, the realization of spiritual power, and affirmative prayer are all put together, they are going to heal humanity and our world. But they will not do it until they are all put together. Oh. So I'm always happy to get a prayer call, but I really enjoyed those Taylor Swift memes. And I'm pretty sure chicken soup kept me alive for a few of those days. So when we think about this idea of everything being a part of the good, well, how do we get in that headspace, first of all, and then how do we learn to walk it out? So the first thing that I really thought about in this is, when we're stuck, one of my favorite pieces of advice to give is go back to the basics. What do you know for sure? Very Oprah advice. What do you know for sure? And for me, what I know for sure, like my set point, my home base is God is all there is and God is only good. Okay, so when I go back to that, God is all there is and God is only good. If God is all there is, check this. If God is all there is, God is all there is. It's all God. Like you can move the words around as many ways as you want, but you still end up with everything being God. Whether it's part of our prescribed philosophy or not, spiritual mind treatment, meditation, certain affirmations, certain things are part of what we would call the tools of science of mind. And we love them, don't we? And they're so delightfully effective. And then there's all of these other things. All of our fun tarot cards and puppy snuggles and really delightful vegetable soup that I don't think Ernest Holmes wrote about any of those things. He didn't even know about Taylor Swift. Can you imagine? And yet all of those things are made of the same God stuff. All of those things have the same kind of supportive, wonderful, loving wholeness energy in them. And while we can have a tendency to think the stuff that we study here is the important stuff, and everything else is sort of the other stuff, what if it's not? What if it's all the good stuff? What if it's all delicious and delightful? One of the things that we get warned about, cautioned against, in a lot of Ernest Holmes' writings is superstition. And I think this is what he was talking about. The idea that we start to put more weight on a couple of things and everything else is not as good. Everything else is a little bit questionable. I've been here a little while. And back in the day when I first showed up, the idea of doing a fully pagan fire ritual summer solstice on the patio with tarot and drums, and we're going to wear clothes. People keep asking, it's at church, we're going to wear clothes. Full on let my witchy flag fly, that would have been edgy. Maybe not even allowed, because that's not science of mind. But we've grown as a community, haven't we? We've grown in our understanding that when we say we support every faith tradition, we mean all of them. All of them. And when we say we support every path that gets us closer to Spirit, we mean every path. And we can play in all of these modalities and have such a fun time together. And know that nothing, no activity, no approach, no topic can take us out of the realm of being in the love of Spirit. Because there isn't anything that's out of the realm of being in the love of Spirit, right? Oh, it's so delightful. It's so delightful. So when we get caught in the, I don't know if this is okay, this feels outside of my realm of understanding or experience or comfort, we can lean back into that knowingness that God is all there is. Therefore, this thing that I'm considering participating in, watching, learning about, is God. And then we just get to play in our discernment land. Is it a part of God that I want to play in right now? Sometimes it will be and sometimes it won't be, but it never has to be wrong. It always just gets to be what makes my soul feel happier right now. The second thing I like to dig into, once I've remembered that God is all there is the idea of wholeness. Wholeness means including all. I see Reverend Karen in my mind doing her favorite arm motion, including all. And you know where we're really good at including all? Is including all, right? In this community, We make space for everybody. We draw everybody in. It's a major focus for us. You know where we could use some work? In including all, right? Because all of that differentiation that we see out there, that we see as so delightful and wonderful, and we're revving up for Pride Month. Ooh, I'm ready. I got my rainbow outfits laid out. I'm ready, right? All of the joy that we get in learning about different faith traditions and inviting people in, all that differentiation that we think is so delightful out there. Ooh, when we find it in here, it's harder. It's harder. There are places in us that we are less than comfortable. And maybe it's just me. Maybe you're immune from this, in which case, mazel tov. But in my world, there are still parts of myself that I would really love if I could just, But that's not what wholeness is. Wholeness is loving every part of ourselves into full integration so that we can be the allness that we are. So just like there are all these ways to show up in the world, science, I think of science as like kind of the logical, brainy, human thought way of showing up in the world. I've got a perspective slide I would love to see. And I think of psychology when in that science, psychology, and spirit, oh my. I think psychology is like the emotional way of approaching the universe. And the spirituality is kind of more the energetic or the vibey way or the ethics way of approaching the universe. And we all have all of this in us, right? But we also all have ways, variants on this theme, that feel most comfortable to us. And we have variants that we have been trained to value. And it shows up all over the place. Like say we're shopping for a car. There are beloveds within the sound of my voice who are going to check every review. They even know which websites have the better reviews. Mm-hmm. They're going to know the fuel mileage. They're going to know the repair rates. They're going to know the cost per mile driving annual, some statistic I don't know. I'm not this person. But they're out there, right? I can see you. I can see you out there that choose their car by logic. And then there are the people who pick the pretty one. It's just so cute, right? Or it has the right color, or, ooh, the lines are so much nicer on this year's model than last year's model. It's very interesting as a going by my feelings car buyer to go shopping with the logic car buyer, because mostly they just look at you like, what the hell is wrong with you? That's not how you pick a car. But I'm not going to drive a not cute car. It's not going to happen. And then we've got the vibes people. It just feels right. I sit in it. This is my car. And his name is Zach. Right? And everybody gets the right car. Everybody gets the right car. No matter if your co-car shopper looks at you like you're a Looney Tune or like you have no heart. How can you pick a car on mileage? That one's pretty. Everybody gets the right car for them, and it's acceptable. It's delightful. It's wonderful. It's how we all work. But we each actually have all of those pieces in us. We just value some more than others. Okay, logic car people. You know what car's prettier. Your version of prettier. Prettier might mean rugged, right? It might look like it can do what I need it to do. I have a friend who just got a new car. He was like, he just looks like he wants to go camping with me. And he does. I looked at that car and I thought I would never ever think that, but he does want to go camping with you, I can tell. We have all those pieces in us. There is a part of every one of us that wants to feel a certain thing. There is a part of every one of us that wants to align with a certain thing. There's a part of every one of us that wants to understand. What if we valued those equally within ourselves? We're pretty good at it. It's funny because we've worked at getting good at it out there, right? at understanding how different people think. What if we got good at it in here? At allowing ourselves to enjoy those aspects of ourselves. Allowing ourselves to receive support and fun and joy and depth from all of those areas. Dr. Joshua Kai is a naturopathic doctor. He is Asian in ethnicity and American in nationality. And I bring that up because we're in the year of talking about infinite voices of truth, and he's one of infinite voices of truth. He is a doctor, and he's written quite a lot on quantum healing. So he comes from a really interesting perspective. And he said this: even the smallest shift in perspective can bring about the greatest healing. We think we know what heals us. We've got a list, right? Everybody's got our favorite list, that certain soup, that chai. I'm telling you, a hot chai when you've got a sore throat is gold. But I know all of those texts filled with love made just as big of an impact as the medication my doctors gave me. What if I was someone who said, I'm not going to take the medication because I'm being prayed for? People do that. People make that choice all the time. What if I said, I don't need prayer, I've got medication? What if I said, I don't need you to have loving thoughts for me, I got this. I watched a YouTube video, so I don't need anybody to pick up my prescriptions because I understand the pathology process, so I've got this. No, it takes every single little bit of all of that good to fill us up. What if we actually let ourselves see all of those things, from the IV fluids to the friend who played with the puppy to the person who dropped off strawberries, as little drops of healing magic of the same value. And every little drop adds to coming into our fullness. Whether it's healing an illness or healing a broken heart or healing a feeling of ennui and a little bit of boredom in the middle of an Arizona summer. What if? So the game is to choose to embrace it all. To give yourself permission to play with the perspectives inside of you. Because you see, if you map those same things that I was given by all of you wonderful beloveds and my friends and family, you can see what falls in the science, and you can see what falls in the feelings, and you can see what falls in the spiritual energetic vibes, and the ways in which they overlap. And what they all are forms of care. And care is what heals us. And we can have all of it. We get to have all of it. This summer, in what we're calling the summer of you, we get to play with new perspectives, with embracing new ways of showing up in life. And one of the ways we're going to do it is through this wonderful summer solstice party. So whether you are someone who appreciates the solstice because you really know a lot about astrology and you love understanding how the heavens work and how it affects our planet, or you're someone who really, really loves to dig in with spirit and get in those drums and vibe with your community and have a great time and enjoy the fire, having that energetic reset, fantastic. And if you're someone who just loves the fun and the loving kindness of coming together in community and having a party, whatever it is we're doing at that party, that can feed you too. Every one of us is invited to play together the way we show up. If there's a part of you that is excited about this and you're thinking, ooh, maybe this is a place where I could read my tarot cards, bring my healing bowls, offer up sparklers so we can play in the sparkly fiery light, bring art supplies so that we can make something together. Whatever it is that is yours, that you're like, ooh, this is a place to play. I invite you to talk to me over the next week or two, because you are invited, so deeply invited, to create this event together so that we can really deepen into the allness that we are individually and as a community to kick off the summer more joyfully than ever before. Doesn't that sound delightful? So in addition to getting with me about how we're going to throw our party, the other call to action is this. I invite all of us to, over the next week or two, to really pay attention to opportunities we have to deepen into the sides of ourselves that are a little bit less familiar. Where do you have the opportunity to try a perspective that isn't your go-to, to add to the arsenal of what you have to make your life rich? If you're a logical person, play in the feelings a little bit more. Maybe read a poem instead of watching a TED Talk. If you're a feelings person, watch the TED Talk that your partner isn't watching this time. If you're an all-spiritual person, maybe open up to another realm of spirituality that you don't usually play in, or try some interfaith work to see how it all blends together on that psychology side. There's so much good available to us all and within us all. And that's what I want for each of us, is to have the most rich, delightful summer. And so it is. Let us anchor this in with some prayer, friends. How wonderful it is to remember that Spirit is all that there is, that everything and everyone all of the time is made up of this infinite goodness. It is grace and wholeness. It is love and beauty. It is divine intelligence and the sweetness of peace. All of it sacred, all of it divine, all of it included, all of it celebrated. And so what I know for myself is that I am of that. What I know for each beloved within the sound of my voice is we are of that divine goodness. And all of that richness and depth and beauty is already built into us. We don't have to go find it. We just have to let it out. And so I speak a word for each of us, knowing that whatever brings the most delight to our heart this day, this week, that it is unleashed in a way that is glorious and wonderful and makes our lives better and makes everyone's lives better. Because all we are called to do by Spirit is to be the wholeness of who we really are in every single aspect, as big and as bright as we can possibly do it. That's the invitation. And so I am so grateful for the divine yes, for the yes to being the fullness and the allness of God that we each are. I claim that it's easy and ease-filled and joyful and peaceful and delicious. Call it all good. As we claim it together, we release it into the action of universal law and say, and so it is.